Welcome back, Couch Critics. It's the A-League off-season, but there's still plenty of happening with the World Cup coming up. But we're still going to talk about the A-League for now. We're actually going to be talking about the really red-hot off-season that we've been enjoying. There's been a lot of actually, I think, pretty decent transfer between the clubs and players coming over to the A-League. But what we want to talk about today is really some of the players that are leaving the A-League to go overseas, and they're being actually purchased for really good prices, even some record transfer fees. I think it was broken twice in this off-season. So, yeah, I'm Brad. I'm joined by Samuel. Welcome to the Couch Critics. If you haven't subscribed already, when we're filming this video, we're on 699. So by the time this comes out, we might have hit the big 700. But if you can help us get to 700 and beyond, that'd be fantastic. And drop us a like on this video. But Samuel, how are we doing in this off-season, which seems like it's going on forever?
Look, I'm looking forward to the FFA, the Australia Cup. Australia Cup, that's what it's called now. Australia Cup games, because football will be back. That'll be great. Look, I don't watch a whole heap of NPL, so really, I'm just hanging out for A-League season. Gonna renew the membership. That's where I'm at. How are you going, Bradley? I see you're in another new place. Is that more houses than haircuts this year?
Yep. You made the joke about an hour ago on the off screen, but yes, it's no, actually, it's three goals to the haircut, I think, this year, and to the houses. So by the end of the year, it might be 3 all. Who knows?
There you go.
But yes, in a new little setup temporarily. I've only just moved the other day, so hopefully I have a bit of a better background. Probably won't, to be honest, but that's okay. I'm just
Keep the cats in the background.
yeah, they're not here at the moment. Oh no, they are on the top
Everybody
of the
loves
tower.
cats.
She's asleep. But I'm just hanging out for the World Cup, man. We're hanging out for
Yeah.
that Australia Ireland opening match. I'll be going to 9 games. I'm going to all up across the entire tournament. Sam, you're only going to 1 by the sounds of it.
At the moment,
At the
I
moment,
only got tickets for one. I'm planning to go along to one of the live sites for Australia Ireland. Probably thinking the fan zone at Tumbalum Park looks like it could actually be pretty cool. So
yeah.
pretty keen for that, and
Yeah.
might do that for the other Tilly's games as well.
Mm.
And who knows, I might pick up some tickets at the SFS or somewhere for $20. It's a pretty good deal. Why not?
Yeah, $20 and in a stadium where most seats are pretty good, unlike the
Yeah.
Olympic Stadium. So get around it. But yeah, let's just talk about some of the great signings we've seen in the off season so far. And I guess we want to talk about first off Marco Tilio. He's gone for the record transfer fee. It hasn't come out yet; it's undisclosed, but it's likely to be over $2 million, which breaks the record that Jordan Boss had only a couple of weeks beforehand for going to
Westerlo.
Westerlo in
Yeah.
Belgium for about $2 million as well. These are great players that we've been seeing lighting up the A-League in the past couple of years. And, I think it's a fantastic reward for them to get good moves. But I think it's also a great reward for Melbourne City, who saw something in these players. Tilio was picked up from Sydney FC. I think Jordan Boss was someone they brought through their own academy, I think. Don't quote me on it. But, great reward for City. Obviously, they have their own critics of their owners, and I think that's fair. But, they've really invested into local juniors and they're getting rewarded for that. But they're not the only club, and we'll get into the other clubs.
Yeah. So I think obviously City getting the big money reward, and maybe that's part of just being part of the City group and having that kind of name. But, premiers again this season and playing some really fantastic football. Both Marco Tilio and Jordan Boss making it into Socceroos games and doing well when they've kind of been on that stage as well. So yeah, really exciting to see that rewarded. And I guess that's what we're going to talk about as we talk about some of these other players who've made these moves. This teams been rewarded for putting faith in their youngsters. And you look at City, we're going to talk about Central Coast Mariners as well. 2 teams in the grand final, 2 of the best at doing this in the last couple of seasons. So yeah.
And also Tom Glover and Aidan O'Neill, they've gone for frees, but Tom Glover is going to a Middlesbrough team who, at least I think they'd be hoping to be pushing for a spot in the promotion into the Premier League, and Aidan O'Neill to Standard Liège, one of the better teams in Belgium. So there's some really good moves for them. Unfortunately, they went on frees, but I think hopefully a lot of other clubs will be locking up their really talented juniors for a long time in order to get a good transfer fee when teams overseas start knocking. Central Coast Mariners, yeah, you briefly mentioned the grand final winners. Sammy Silvera, I think the word is it's close to $1 million. He's going to
Yeah,
he's already gone to Middlesbrough. We haven't got the exact figure. It could be close to or over $1 million, which I think is, I mean, if you said Samuel Silvera about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, was going to be signed by Middlesbrough for close to $1 million,
yeah,
we'd be having a good laugh about it. But he's turned his career right around. He's had a fantastic season, and it's definitely earned.
yeah. And look, that he completely transformed at Central Coast Mariners. He's sitting on the bench most of the season for
Mm,
Jets, goes to the Mariners, and has really lit up the league. And that grand final performance really capped it off. And
mm,
I'm sure that really attracted a lot of clubs. And there were rumors that there was quite a few championship clubs in for him.
mm.
And the rumor is that it's broken the Mariners record transfer fee, which was Roston Griffiths, I think.
That
Um,
would have been a long time ago.
yeah, so yeah, that's pretty huge for them.
Mm.
To get a good financial reward for losing a
Mm.
player who was a big part of their season.
Yeah, and another big player of their season, Jason Cummings, has also signed for an Indian team, Mohan Bagan. I'm sorry if I can't pronounce it. But we still don't know. This is another undisclosed fee, but I'm sure they would have paid. I'd like to think they paid a good amount. I don't know if they cracked the million, but you know, it's a shame he's going to India because I do think it is a lesser quality league
Yeah,
to Australia. It's a developing one. It's good to see Indian football slowly getting better. But from what I'm hearing, the money, like you just can't say no to that kind of money. And I think he's peaked as a player. He's won the championship here in the A-League. He's played for the Socceroos. He's been to a World Cup. He's played at a World Cup. It ain't going to get any better for Jason Cummings. And hopefully at the end of his stint in India, we get to see him here again in Australia.
yeah. Now there's been a couple of other young players get some decent moves as well. So one of the kind of standout ones is Keegan Jelicic,
Mm,
who was pretty good for Perth Glory and really made an impact in a season where
mm,
they almost made it into the top six. But he's also gone to Belgium with Ghent.
mm.
And I don't know what the fee on that one was, but
Yeah. And
I'm
you've also got
sure.
Garen Quoll from, I know it's a bit of a while ago now, but it's definitely someone we can talk about who mid-season went, to Newcastle, loaned him straight out to Harder Midlothian. Didn't have a great time there, but he still played a handful of games and even scored a goal. So even though he wasn't really deployed in that winger position,
Yeah,
I think, that's valuable minutes in one of, probably one of the better teams outside the top two in Scotland. So it's good to see
yeah,
him. He like only at 18, he's got some real talent there.
yeah. And we can talk about some of those other players who went over to Scotland in the last season. Cammy Devlin.
Mm.
We can talk about Kieran Backus or Keanu Backus, sorry. Um, Even last season, we saw Paddy Esbeck kind of halfway through the season move
Yeah,
from
about the
Sydney
start
FC,
of this year. Yeah.
and also Nick D'Agostino
Yep.
go from Victory to the same team as Yazbek. So their signings in the last kind of 12 months as well, young players who have been playing lots for their clubs and really broken through. And those fees probably weren't as big as some of the fees we've seen
No. Well,
towards the end of the
D'Agostino, I
season.
think, went for 800,000. I think I was reading on the website. Maybe it was euros, which
That's
for
incredible.
for a
That's pretty good.
team in Norway's not a bad league, but I'd like to think the Australian league is on par or potentially, I don't know. Maybe I'm a bit optimistic to think it's probably a better league than Australia, but still to have that kind of money invested from Norway for D'Agostino, I think is really great for
Yeah.
the league. And even Kusuni Yengi from the Wanderers, I don't know about a fee, but he's gone to Portsmouth as well. A player that I thought shined in brief periods, but probably wasn't. Well, he wasn't really getting
Just
a
in
permanent
derbies.
look in. Like he had those memorable moments in the derby, but he picked up by League One, a
Yeah.
well-known English team. I know it's a bit further down the ladder than the likes of Tom Glover and Samuel Silvera's clubs, but for even him to get picked to get looked up, look in from Portsmouth. I mean, he's a big physical guy. I think England will suit him quite well, especially in the colder months instead of running around in the summer months over here. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
happening in Australia, and I think we said about it off air that it probably comes down to our performance at the World Cup and probably
Yeah.
our clubs playing a bit more hardball, saying, our players are pretty good. It's time you started paying up for them instead of getting them on freeze or getting them on peanuts. And
Yeah.
it's really good to see the fruits of the World Cup starting to bear for these clubs.
Yeah, another player we missed is Nectar Triantis, who's gone
Mm,
from Central Coast Mariners to Sunderland, which
yeah,
again, it's a really good move to a championship club.
yep.
And I can't remember if that was a fee or end of contract.
Yeah,
I
I
think
can't
it was
remember
a
off the top of my head. We're looking
so
this up as we speak.
yeah, they're incredible moves for yeah, about 300,000 euro or pound.
Yeah.
So
They
like
reckon, so I've
this
just looked at the BBC, they reckon they paid £300,000 for him. So it's probably almost half a mil.
Yeah, like these are really good moves for
Mm,
Australian players to get into some really good competitions, good teams, and we really do hope that they're the right moves. So I think
mm,
what's been exciting about, again they were halfway through last season, but Yazbek, Stensness, and Diagostino in Norway, they're playing quite regularly, and it looks like they're actually improving. They're playing good football.
mm,
For Jordan Boss going to Westerlo, it looks like a club where he really can actually break in. Same with Marco Tilio in this Celtic squad. Maybe it'll be a bit more of a rotation, but he'll definitely get opportunities, which is exciting.
mm,
Um, I'd love to see Sammy Silvera and Tom Glover actually get game time in the championship as well, because we have seen it's not like young players have never gone overseas, but it's often been at the end of contracts, picked up on frees,
mm,
and we've seen them go over and not be as successful. I think one of the most recent examples of that is Joel King. He went
mm,
over. There was he got a bit of game time, then all of a sudden became out of favour,
mm,
and then he come back and didn't quite work out for him. We've seen it in the past with other players as well. Even Alu Kuol he went over to Stuttgart, looked like he was starting to get somewhere, but
mm,
maybe the club said, actually, no, there's no place for you here, and so he's come back to the Mariners. It'd be great to see this bunch of players, particularly if clubs have paid money for them.
mm,
Um, that's a good sign that they're actually going to
yeah,
invest in them. They've got a plan for them. They want to see them part of the squad, and so that's really exciting. And yeah, like I said, off the back of Australia's World Cup performance, where people didn't rate us going in,
mm.
um, we
We probably
easily,
did. We probably didn't rate them too highly. Let's be honest.
if you look on paper, we were probably one of the bottom four teams going into that World
Mm,
Cup. And to do what we did, I think it made a lot of people sit up and take notice. And then
mm,
they look at the quality of these players and see, actually, some of these guys are playing in the A League. Two of our goal scorers, Craig Goodwin
yep,
and Matt Leckie, playing currently in the A League. And so I think that helped people look at the league. And then I've got to say, like the quality of football in the last season in the A League is fantastic. Like the league has been going better and better. The strength has been
yep,
getting bigger and bigger. But
yep,
I think, I guess the topic of this video is seeing that these clubs who have put an emphasis on young players are really the ones who are reaping results. So Mariners, City, top two teams in the A
yep.
League, really good. But even you look at that Wanderers squad from last season, and there was an effort to play some of these younger players. Simmons at right back, getting consistent game time.
And Neuenhoff
You
as
know,
well.
yeah, Neuenhoff, and surprisingly, he's not yet been picked up overseas, has he?
No, he hasn't. I hope we sign him on a main. He's only on a scholarship contract, and so
Right.
I don't even know if he'll
That's
get
it.
a transfer fee. So I hope we sign him pretty soon to a 2-year deal or something, and so we can
Yeah,
actually get a fee for him because I think he'll be the next big one, probably leaving Australia.
yeah, absolutely. Sydney FC, although not the best at playing young players, the
Mm,
ones they have played have actually kind of secured moves. And so, for Yazbek, he was a player
mm,
coming through and got his opportunity. I think all of this has shown that for these A-League clubs, yes, you could sign a 35-year-old from Europe,
mm,
or even a 35-year-old who's played for 6 different A-League clubs already, or you can invest in your youth and really lock them down on long contracts. And now seeing the financial rewards that clubs have
mm,
gotten, we've seen some of those moves. So, I've just looking at some tweets that have come through recently, Wellington Phoenix have handed a 4-year contract to an 18-year-old who's come up through their academy.
Yep.
It's the longest contract in the club's history. Like, that's a move that says, ah, locking our young, good prospects down on good contracts
Mm,
might mean we actually get something for them. Sydney FC in this preseason have signed one, two, three, four players to actual first team contracts,
mm,
including some that they signed last year. Like, we're seeing a bit of a trend in this, uh, moving towards actually
mm.
putting trust in young players, and actually that has to be backed by them playing them and giving them opportunities to develop, which we know is difficult in the A League. You know,
Yeah.
Graham Arnold said it a couple of years ago. This isn't a development league. Like, this means a lot. Winning the A League is actually worth it.
Mm.
But I think Mariners, Melbourne City, they've shown you don't have to sacrifice playing young players to play good football and win the league. And
Yep.
that's good to see.
Yep. And another young player we were talking about, I mentioned Neuenhoff before, Irakunda as well. Like,
Yeah,
look what Adelaide's
that was
doing. They brought through a lot. The Al Hassan Toure, the Toure brothers also came through Adelaide, and they've gone
yeah,
over to France. So they've blooded youngsters in the past. Um,
yeah,
yeah, and I think the reward's there now. I don't think A-League clubs, until recently, probably thought we could actually get some money for our players. And I think now that they're realizing if we, like, the talent's there, and if we lock them down, they play well, clubs will pay for them. They've realized that now that there's quality here, and they're going to actually have to sign it and put some money in. And so that's probably why the Wellington has put a 4-year contract to that kid. It's probably why Sydney FC are starting to tie down their players. It's like, well, we can actually get money
yeah,
for these players. And Neuenhoff, like, I'd like to think, he's got world's potential. I'd like to think he could be pushing $1 million if they sign him down to a proper contract next season.
yeah.
Irakunda, wonder how much he could go. Like, he's a young kid, you signed him down for a 4-year contract. Big clubs will come. There was rumors about Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
They have the money. They can pay some good money for him.
And I think what's exciting about this is, it injects money into A-League clubs, which, the smart clubs will then use that and sure, maybe use it to sign an overseas
Mm,
player, but actually put most of it into developing their NPL teams, developing their young players, their
mm,
academies. We've seen a lot more clubs build homes, like the Wanderers have their football home. Sydney FC have just completed their kind of revamp of their
yep.
training facility. Western United are building theirs and will play out of it next season. That's exciting to see. Melbourne City are putting all their money into their new football facility. So,
Mm,
so things are happening with these clubs, and we want to see that money go in. But I think the other potential is that if money comes in like this, creates a bit of a football economy.
mm,
I really think the next step is for the FA to put a transfer system in to enforce a transfer system in the A League so that A League clubs can
mm,
start purchasing players. Now it needs an injection of cash so that you've actually got money to pay for,
mm,
taking someone from Brisbane Roar or taking someone from Perth. But I think that will then also help generate more of this economy. It'll mean that,
yep.
you're not signing players on free contracts and not playing them and letting youth players go for frees. You actually hold on to them because you know you can get something for them.
Yep.
And then when the overseas money does come in, because you've played them, you've invested in them, it gives you more money to do that with. So I
Mm,
think that's where this needs to head. And I think maybe this will give FA, but also the A-League clubs and their owners the confidence that a transfer system will work in Australia.
yep. Yeah, no, it's exciting times. And with 2 new A-League clubs coming in, hopefully for the 24-25 season, that's 2 new rosters
Yeah,
for clubs. That's more opportunities for youngsters, not just in Canberra and Auckland, but right across the country to get contracts and to potentially make moves overseas. I think there's quite a lot of players that are very comfortable just staying in the A-League, moving from club to club, but it'd be really great to see a new generation of players that aspire to win the A-League and then move on to bigger things and try and become the best players they can. Because I think probably in Australia, too many probably think, I'm just happy playing in the A-League. I can be a professional here in Australia, unlike the NSL days. It's good to see the ambition of some of these players coming through the A-League. So exciting times. I think we might leave it there. I think it's been a pretty good chat, a pretty progressive chat there from us. I think we didn't go off stray too much. Thanks for joining us. Maybe let us know in the comments. Let us know what you think, or who you think might be the next big player to go overseas. Will it be someone like Irakunda? Will it be someone like Nguyen Hoff? Is there another player left field that you've been watching coming through the ranks of your club that you think, this guy's going to be the next Socceroos captain? So, thanks for joining us, and we'll probably see you in the next video.
Yeah, at the World Cup.
Yeah. If you see me at the World Cup, come say hello. I'll be at heaps of games. Maybe I'll see you at the Island game. Probably won't. There's going to be like 80,000 people there.
Yeah. All right. See you, bro.
Farewell.